not because my apartment is good, but because it's stuffy today. It's extra stuffy because I closed the windows for recording to keep out the vibrant city life. And I don't like that it's stuffy. I like that I feel greasy and gross. And here we are side by side broing out. You accept me.
I do.
When I'm in my filth.
I take comfort in your body heat and lubrication.
Oh, God. Sorry, we have to do a podcast, buddy, and now I'm getting all hot. I mean, not mostly because of the stuffiness, but this isn't hurting. And because we're talking about how Kyle and I enjoy each other's bodies, you're probably listening to an episode of the podcast based on the television show The Big Bang Theory. This show, which is called The Big Bang Theory. Hi, I'm Nick.
And I'm Kyle.
And it's another week where we watch this show that, heads up, this one is relatively not bad this episode compared to the last couple clip episodes, but we still usually don't like it. So we try to get what we can out of it, move on to things we actually enjoy. And before we get that, we do have to eat our terrible greens, which I don't know. I like greens. You know, people, they get a bad rap. People just don't know how to prepare them well enough. What? The anti-vegetable anyone who's an adult and they're like, I don't like vegetables, I look at with some scorn.
I do like I am absolutely with you, but I do think that the reason people advocated for vegetables is that they're healthy, and the only way I like vegetables is covered in so much salt and grease that it doesn't actually preserve any of the healthiness at all.
Well, it's hard to disagree for me. I mean, so I think you're doing it the right way. And I think collard greens are the perfect example, where it's like, these are very nutritious and hearty. They're bitter as fuck. They don't taste good. So let's cook them in hog fat and salt and vinegar until all you have left is some soggy, still pretty coarse roughage that tastes a little bit like a pig. And that's what you're supposed to do.
Yeah, there's a place, we should go there sometime. They have Brussels sprouts. And I was like, Brussels sprouts? But these are they crisp them and they marinate them in oil and cheese. And they're so fucking good.
Also, Brussels sprouts apparently, in the course of our lifetime,
have gotten significantly better. I've heard this too.
Yeah. Well, and especially, because when I grew up, I'd eat anything. I'm still not a picky eater at all. Brussels sprouts were the one thing I had to force down because they were worse. We usually weren't eating them fresh. We get them frozen and heat them from there. And I would a couple times, I think I got my pattern was recognized pretty quickly. I'd put a bunch in my mouth and start chewing them, excuse myself to the bathroom, and spit them into the toilet. And I appreciate them more now, but apparently that's because we get better sprouts. This is relevant to the episode, somehow I'm sure, which didn't leave as bad a taste in my mouth as earlier episodes did. Look at that excellent segue. And I don't know, let's just get into it, I guess. The official, unofficial fan wiki summary of this reads, the official title is The Emotion Detection Automation, which is the 14th episode of the 10th season, which means we only have 2.5 years left.
Jesus Christ. This episode aired in 2017.
Oh, that's good. That means we're catching up on it.
That is crazy to think that The Big Bang Theory was still on.
Oh, yeah.
In 2017.
Still on, seasoned, and with a little time left to go. We have 2 years left, which are the can't make it to the bathroom in time seasons.
Yes.
Where we're I guess we're still watching this. We don't really want to be here anymore, nor does anyone else. Let's just get through the filth.
I am glad that they canceled it before COVID, because I don't think I could have dealt with watching Sheldon Cooper try to handle COVID.
Well, now, Kyle, that you've put time in position to other events, that would have fucked me up. Yeah. If we're on lockdown and people are like, I guess we better see what Sheldon's still up to. I guess that's
what I'm saying. Donald Trump was president when this episode came out. I mean, I know that his presidency, the time period in which Donald Trump is president, has been longer because of the weird historical nightmare we're living through. But Donald Trump had been elected president at this point in time and was serving his first term.
I think we're getting... I mean, this is we're back in the period when we started discussing this show.
Oh shit!
Because it was like, hey, why is this long-running show long-running when nobody likes it? Let's watch all of it. And now it's a decade later, and we're looking back horrified about the times we've lived through and the choices we've made.
That's right. We're like in the hall. We're in the funhouse, Hall of Mirrors, like just looking at our infinite reflections.
Well, and thank God we've been doing this for so long, because today we get to discuss this plot summary. Raj gets romance advice from his ex-girlfriends, and Sheldon beta tests an emotion detection device to help him deal with people. More or less accurate, yeah.
Although the primacy of those two plots are switched around, and they also left out the part where Leonard argues with Penny about whether or not their brother can come live with them.
Which is kind of inciting for the whole thing, because, it starts with Penny. They apparently already made plans with Leonard for Penny's brother to stay with them. Leonard's very obviously uncomfortable with it, but trying to pretend he's cool with it to keep things smooth and level, which... There is kind of a contradiction in this episode because, the main plot is Sheldon kind of seeing them fight about the brother staying. Just kind of casually says, oh, man, I wish people would just tell me how they felt about things directly so I don't have to guess. And I just had everyone's, honest, upfront opinion. And the rest of the room says, no, you don't want that. That's ridiculous. You have no idea what you're getting yourself into. And so his plot is Wolowitz brings up, oh, hey, at MIT, we have to make sure we name MIT so people still remember that we're science nerds, even though we're abandoned most of that.
Even though only one of us has autism.
Well, one has obvious autism. All the others have. We're not as autistic as Sheldon autism.
Well, that's, I guess I do acknowledge by conversation, these things work on a spectrum. It was just, this was the first episode where I don't know why
They never said it, but they were upfront about his.
Yeah, they were upfront about the fact that he can't read people's emotions. I was like, and all the rest of you can?
Yeah.
That was the part that was weird to me.
Well, and the part they don't square, and maybe this is just one of those contradictions that's so real, that how could the Big Bang Theory have sorted it out? Which is, Wolowitz says, oh, they've created an emotion reading machine. And I'm not sure how it actually is supposed to work, and so I'm not going to bother trying to explain it, other than you point it at somebody and it picks up their emotions based on 4 emotions. I think you could have happy, sad, angry, and joyful, maybe.
Excited,
yeah. And it picks those up with 85% accuracy, which I think Sheldon could probably already beat. It's that 15% where he's getting it so wrong that is the issue. So he's able to get people's emotions out of this. He's surprised that he's actually already pretty good at getting it. He's just, shocked that the results are as in line with his own expectations as he thought. And he's also upset because, during this argument, he's able to learn that, I don't know. I don't remember why his feelings specifically get hurt.
Well, it's like, it's like basically when you I think the Big Bang Theory would never consciously use this metaphor, but it actually it's like when you get an accessibility device for the first time and you realize just how much the rest of your life,
yes,
you've been actually not been, you've been missing an essential component. People who get those colorblind corrected glasses often cry when they're first, use them, or, people who finally take ADHD medication. Which, by the way, Nick, have you ever gotten diagnosed with ADHD and taken ADHD medication?
Not yet.
No reason.
I have
why I'm
an
bringing that
appointment
up.
coming up. I now in California, I've got my new insurance. I'm part of the Kaiser network, which has been confusing and difficult. Hey, this is more relevant to the episode, of course. So in Montana, and I assume in most states, the way health insurance works is they're like, okay, here's a bunch of providers that are in your network. And if they're not, they're probably either out of state or have just some sort of weird thing where they're not taking any kind of insurance. It's been very brutal learning that Kaiser is like, oh no, out of network is anything that isn't in our office.
Yeah.
To be
fair, it is a big office, but you're right. It is.
Yeah, I don't know. I just went to pick up some prescriptions at like Target, and they're like, "Oh, we don't take Kaiser."
No, you have to go to their shitty. I've been through this. I'm not currently in it, but I've been on Kaiser before. You have to go to their shitty, weird pharmacy and feel like you're.
I mean, they have a lobby. I can hang out on a fun couch. I can chat up people while I'm waiting for all of my psych med pills. But yeah, actually, I was going to say, not specifically about ADHD, but just about like the general neurodivergence is like my version of that was like sadness and relief, where I was like, okay, so all these experiences I've been having my entire life where I'm like, I don't think I want to do this and I'm uncomfortable. And everyone is just like, oh, you're just shy, you'll get over it. And years of me being like, I don't know, guys, I don't think I'm getting over it. I still hate these experiences. And more I'm leaning into maybe I'm supposed to have quiet one-on-one conversations and play a lot of video games, because it turns out I am one of my disabilities is being bad at parties, like neurologically bad at having group conversations and taking interest in uninteresting things. So I get that. Yeah. But anyway, so I guess that must have been the thing that Sheldon was upset about. And so, his reaction is to say, I don't need this device anymore. And that's good for him, But the thing that gets confusing is Leonard isn't being honest about his feelings. Sheldon finds a thing that makes everyone's feelings so transparent that they don't have to be honest. The lesson learned between Penny and Sheldon Penny and Leonard is like based on brute force confrontation. Leonard has to fess up like, oh, right, I actually am really uncomfortable with your brother being here. I guess the machine got me, grump, grump.
Yeah, which is a little, I don't know. I feel like, I guess it's such a fine line to walk. And again, I don't expect, this is hard in real life, but it's like, there's a line between like, I guess what you're supposed to say is like, hey, I don't like this thing, but I'll do it for you, but don't ask me to be performatively like happy about it, because I feel like part of the reason Leonard gets in trouble is because he doesn't like fess up with like how uncomfortable he is with the idea. But part of the reason he gets in trouble is just because he's saying and doing all the right things, which is this honest. Person can come and stay with us, but he doesn't actually feel good about it. And it's like, you can't penalize a guy for not feeling good.
Well, I also feel like they skipped a step. I think what you're describing makes sense, but they don't have the, well, I don't like it, but I'll live with it. It goes to, well, I don't like it, and so he's not coming here. And then I get annoyed because Penny is like, all right, well, hopefully his feelings won't be too hurt and my dad won't be too mad that, we've backed out on this. And then Leonard, and they don't resolve this, which is good because I hate him. Leonard's like, wait, you're going to throw me under the bus for your brother not coming? And Penny's like, yeah, of course. Why wouldn't I? It's your fault. I have no reason not to lay all of the blame on you. And then he starts getting huffy again. And I'm like, no, Leonard. No, you made your bed, now sleep in it comfortably. Let the two men that aren't going to be living with you be mad at you. Don't expect your wife to cover for you.
Yeah, I guess you're right. That is the flip side of it. It's like once you've agreed, I'm with you.
Yeah, no, where the honesty ends is a question, but it doesn't end at, okay, I've told you I don't want this, and I'm not doing it, and you need to cover for me. Fuck that. No. So, I guess, yeah, that's the plot. And then the Sheldon side, yeah, it's resolved. He gets upset. He says, fuck this machine, I'm out. And I guess the big B plot, which I almost forgot about here, is Raj, during all of this, is like, man. Well, someone says, hey, have you stopped dating that lady?
They don't even say which lady.
No, they don't say it, because they're like, it doesn't matter. We just need an excuse to get all of them back, I guess. Raj decides, well, I'm not doing great with ladies. You know what I should do? And there's mixed reaction from the group, is I'm going to survey my exes and figure out what they didn't like or where it went wrong so I can improve myself.
And this, I have to hand it to the show, as I hate to do. This is one of the few times they actually do the only thing I've ever asked them to do, which is they organically lead from one plot into the other. Because what actually happens, you're pretty close, Nick, but what the actual flow of the conversation is, I wish I had a device that would allow me to just point it at my women and I can figure out why they don't like me. And that's when Howard says, oh, well, you don't need to do that. You could just send them all a survey. You could do a survey with all of your old exes and you would know. And he's kind of joking, but Raj is like, no, I'm actually going to do that.
Yeah.
But that is like, oh, we're going from the idea of machines that understand people's feelings to like interrogating the feelings of past people. And that leads from one plot into the other plot. And we see that they're connected.
Well, and more so than the plots being connected, what I really appreciated was then they committed to the bit.
Yes.
They didn't say this would be a funny idea. Let's cut to the next scene after we've done the funny thing.
Yeah, or just do it with him on the phone with all of them so we only see his half of the conversation.
We'll break down what would have been a funny scene if presented. No, they bring back 4 exes, 3 of which were recognizable. Didn't remember 2 Emilys.
Yeah, that was weird. That was like on our... It's like that apparently... I mean, I'm sure it's true, but apparently at some point, Raj dated another redheaded Emily.
They look very similar.
Whose only defining feature, which is admittedly pretty defining, is that she was deaf.
Yeah. And so I wonder... I'm trying to think back. Did he go on a date with the lady that he sort of exposed himself to in a Starbucks? Was she the recipient of that? Like he took all of his clothes off except for his underwear? And I don't know. Maybe that didn't result in a date.
I don't remember that one. It is weird. I usually have pretty good, but there have been too many episodes. I just don't have any memory.
I think he was like drugged or something. And he was at Starbucks and he's like, well, what if I just do this? And strips down to his underwear. And I think I remember this one specifically. And maybe it wasn't her, but it was you and me. And I think maybe... former guest and former friend Charlie was here, and you two were both like, oh, she just was sexually assaulted. And I was like, no, she saw a man in his underwear. Like, nobody's happy about what happened.
Staunch defender of flashers everywhere.
It wasn't a flashing. That's an uncomfortable thing. If anything, you should look at a situation and be like that and be like, what's up with that guy?
This is one of the things I love about you, Nick, is you're basically like the Manchurian candidate for like people who have done gross sex stuff that is not technically a crime because all of your training
It wasn't a sex thing. That's the thing. There was nothing showing that it was like for his benefit. That's what makes it. That's the difference. There's a difference between taking off your shirt and taking off your shirt in a perverted way, you know? Like, that's Brad Pitt, and this is a terrible example, because who doesn't want to see him without a shirt on? But, you know, when he takes off his shirt when he's, like, fixing the antenna or whatever.
Oh, you don't think that's supposed to be an erotic moment for the audience?
Well, that's what I'm saying. That's why it's a bad example. But when he's doing that, it's not like anyone around who sees that is like, oh, there he goes, sex criming again. No, because it's hot, and he took his shirt off. Raj was drugged. Raj is a victim.
I will admit that him being drugged is extenuating. I don't remember that much about it, but I will admit if he was accidentally or on purpose had taken the wrong medication, that would be an extenuating circumstance.
Yeah,
yes.
No, there was something he was feeling too free, and it got out of hand. If he'd done that same thing while sober, you better have a good explanation. You better be like, sorry, it turns out I put on these clothes that I left on an anthill last night. Which, that reminds me of a disgusting story. When I used to do trail work, on one of our trips, we set up camp. Because what we'd do is we'd hike deep in. Like, we'd do a day-long hike to whatever our site was. And so we're setting up camp, but we're all pretty exhausted. And it's kind of dark already, so we're really just trying to get this shit set up and get to sleep. And then for one of these, the next morning we woke up, and as we're getting ready to go out to work, it's like, oh, didn't realize we set up our camp on top of what is basically one gigantic anthill.
Yeah.
And now we are all covered in ants and have to relocate. And one of the women running the group, she was very like nerdy and trying to be wholesome. And she's like, you know, I don't want to say where the ants were able to get to, but let's just say they like, you know, hot, moist areas.
Oh.
Now, right? I'm like, you could say like a beetle crawled up in my pussy and I'd be like, that's rough. And I'm sorry that happened. That's obviously Not the most disgusting way you could have described that. Because I know the most disgusting way you could have surprised that. And you didn't have to say any of the dirty words. That's so much nastier.
Yeah, don't make me contemplate the ecosystem of nether regions and how accommodating they would be for like insects.
Yeah, no, it's like we're all dealing with it, right? We all have itches, we don't want them. But no one is like, yeah, man, I woke up thinking, like, do they know how muggy my guts are? Like, did they know what they were getting into? My tropical, like ass crotch and behind the knee. Anywhere I like being licked, that's where they found. And I would have enjoyed it more if it weren't against God. If a group of ants were to try to accidentally pleasure me.
Anyway, so Raj gets all of his ex-girlfriends together.
Yeah, and I built a trail. So he gets them all together, right? I got called out on that trail for doing exceptionally good work. Because we all got really sick. 3 of us did. Maybe from poison quinoa. Who knows how that happened? And I fought through it. And I got special marks. So I was inspired. Yeah, Raj is with all of his exes. So the mixed reaction within the group in doing it, I thought was very realistic and made sense. Because the nerd half of everybody is like, that's helpful data. But as Bernadette points out, she's like, you're just going to have a room full of people criticizing you and making you feel bad. And Raj is trying to be very adult about it. And he ends up being very adult about it, which is like, no, there's something happening here. I want to improve. And if it takes the withering gazes and honest barbs of people that are not interested in me, I'm going to withstand it. And he does express sensitivity. He gets touchy, but he never is mean. He's never nasty. And at the end of the night, after the 4 of them go around saying, and also, this is, maybe I'm over-empathizing here, because the consensus from them is like, no, you were fine to date. If anything, you helped teach me what I don't want.
Yes.
So I could move on to better options, and I'm very happy now, and that wouldn't have happened if I didn't have such a weird, uncomfortable dating experience with you. And as someone who's dated several women who have gone on to be very successful after we've dated, I wonder if I'm part of the wake-up call. Like, things were going okay. I dated Nick Hyde, and then everything turned around for me. So Raj, buddy, I'm sorry for you. But you did a good experiment, and you handled it well. But I think the most interesting thing about the experiment, though, is one of the Emilys, the one who can speak, because they didn't give anyone subtitles, rude. She says, I was actually surprised that you and Wolowitz never got together. And she's kind of joking, but she's also saying what everyone's been thinking for 10 years if they watch the show. And neither of them go gay panic about it. Instead, Wolowitz is like, or Raj, one of them is like...
Yeah, which I guess is a sign of, again, how long this show was going and how much vibes shifted over the course of it. Because there was definitely gay panic when between Raj and Wolowitz in early seasons.
If anything, that's what's prevented them from kissing this whole time.
Yeah.
And that they didn't do it this time makes me angry.
Yeah, because they had almost a sweet little odd couple moment.
No, they were like, would that be so bad? If we... And then they do the kind of gross thing where... Wolowitz, it's like, well, if things don't work out with me and Bernadette, 30 years from now, we can give it a try. And Raj immediately is like, no, the second it doesn't work out with Bernadette, I'm going in. Sorry, buddy. I'm just waiting like a hawk for your relationship to not work out. And Wolowitz says... With
Bernadette.
With Bernadette, yeah. And then Wolowitz says, well, good luck, but Stewart's already claimed her. So it's like, oh, you guys, you rascals, you fucking dirty creeps. But, yeah, it's sweet in a way, and I know the show would never do it, and I'm not faulting them for not going forward with it, but that would be really cool. And I don't mean just in some sort of hey, representative, inclusive kind of way, but to be you guys really love each other, and you're struggling in other ways, and then you get together and it all kind of makes sense and you feel right. Why not? Why not? But, we're not there. Trump was president, so we're doing what you can. Was there any, stinger to wrap it up? Because that is the plots. I think, is it
No, I don't.
Sheldon just being like, hey, I don't need the machine.
Yeah,
We're
no,
being honest, put your glasses on.
I think the Penny saying I'm going to throw you under the bus with my family is the stinger, if I remember correctly.
Well, then, last thing we'll say about the episode plot is a notable absence, which is because Brother does not end up coming over or staying. That means we don't get to see Jack McBrayer in this episode, who plays Penny's brother. He's great. The second they mention Penny's brother, I'm like, here comes Jack McBrayer. He's going to be a lovable, sweet, backwoods, meth-cooking fun guy. And no, we don't even get him on the phone.
Those were some pretty good jokes, too, because they were like... Because Penny, of course, is a pharmaceutical rep, and I never thought about that. But there are a couple... It's like she's really just continuing the family's proud tradition of getting drugs to people who need them, and that's why she thinks her brother would be good at the job.
Absolutely, that's great. When I think about the person I know who's a pharmaceutical rep, and, you know, she makes casual jokes about, like, you need drugs. That's what I do. That's like, you know, I'm selling them to doctors, but, like, I'm in on it. Her big career pivot has been she went from selling the things that were getting people addicted and destroying their lives to selling the things that now help you with the addiction. And so money, hand over fist for her. But I don't know, anything else about the actual plot here?
Nope.
All right. Well, why dwell on it? This wasn't bad. It feels like such a refreshing drink of water after a couple dog shit clip episodes. So they haven't totally given up yet, and I'm happy for that. Let's move on to things we enjoy.
What if Raj having more plot is the secret? What if we didn't realize, but he's the glue that holds the show together?
Maybe. Well, something I was thinking about when the episode started, and I thought about it on and off, is like, for Leonard being the main character, every single other character has eclipsed him.
Yes.
Long ago. And, you know, at some point, like, when do you do Family Matters? And you're like, well, Steve Urkel's kind of it.
Well,
right?
I think they went full Family Matters a while ago. I mean, this episode literally revolved around Sheldon using a magic device to, you know, sort through his feelings.
That's true.
If that's not a Steve Urkel plot.
I think it's a lighter version of that, because it's not... Yeah, it is still an ensemble, but I think it wasn't originally meant to be.
Also, speaking of Steve Urkel, unrelated to the episode, I saw Jaleel White was on a podcast the other day with, I can't remember the guy's name, but he's like a friend of, he's a comedian. You know, he did Batman impressions. That's like one of his big ones. And also Adam, or like he had his own like web show for like 5 seconds.
Okay.
A friend of Mike Birbiglia's, kind of does stand-up comedy, but also pretentious. I think he had a TV show.
It's not Adam Conover, is it?
No. He had the TV show where he was Pete Holmes.
Oh, yeah. I don't have a good reason to not like him, but I don't like him.
He's one of those people who's like, I do comedy, but also it's really important that you know that I'm smart and philosophical and sensitive. And it's like, you can be both those things, but you don't have to work one into your act. And it feels like you're...
Yeah. Well, you know, I wonder, because I have insecurity about, I love being dumb and gross. And sometimes I feel like I have to be like, you know, I'm not actually that big of an idiot. And maybe he's overplaying that where he's like, hey guys, no, trust me, I am... erudite.
Anyway, Pete Holmes had Jaleel White on his show, and Jaleel White remains an incredibly funny, charming man who deserves so much more than to just be Steve Urkel. And the second I watching him talk for 5 minutes, I was like, get this man another fucking TV show. He's so good.
Yeah, that's something where more and more as an adult, the unfathomable, immeasurable quality of charisma where, like, who cares if you're technically a better actor or, like, you know, you're better looking or you even have the access. Some people are just kind of magic. And Steve Urkel, come on. And, you know, we can say Jaleel White's responsible for that, but who knows where the truth really is.
Yeah, you should. There's a great, it's just Mike Birbiglia, or not Mike, God, I get them because I've seen them they've been on like 1,000 episodes together. But Pete Holmes is like, asked what I thought was like a weird non sequitur. He's like, you ever ridden on someone's private jet and then at the end of the trip they're like, hey, here's your share of the bill for the private jet that we just went on. Here's your part of the fuel. And Jaleel White is like, man, I gotta tell you, we have one of the things I love about Hollywood is that we can have nothing in common with each other. And you say crazy shit like that to me. And
yeah.
No, but here's the best. It's like you say crazy shit like that to me, and I'm like, oh hell yeah, that's happened to me. I fucking hate that. It's like that ruins friendships, doesn't it? I've had that exact situation happen to me, and I don't speak to those people anymore.
On a micro level of that, I recently bought somebody's coffee, partially because I am kind and generous, but partially because I was like, well, but if they buy it, they're gonna fucking Venmo me for it later. I would rather just give the thing than have this turn into a multi-part transaction for coffee and a snack. Because it is weird. It's strange to have a friendly thing and then to be like, oh, you forgot that this was mostly a transaction. So I'm glad they're on that level together. Even not knowing anything about Jaleel White other than what you've just told me, I still like him more than Pete Holmes, though. So I'm going to just take it. Were we going somewhere with that? I think...
No, we were just talking about... I guess we were talking about how the Big Bang Theory has gone full Steve Urkel, where it's
right.
Started off,
and then it was and Steve Urkel's a good guy.
Yeah, many shows do this. I think Not As Bad, but Community even did this to a certain extent, where it was like, yes, we started out, the show is focused on all these people, but the more we got on, it more became kind of the Abed show, because it turns out Abed's the most weird and fascinating character on the show.
Opposite situation, I think. Joel McHale, handsome, talented enough of an actor. I find him baseline dislikable. There's just something about him where I'm like, I just want to hit you in the face.
I think he knows. Like, I've been watching the show Animal Control, where he plays basically an older version of the exact same person he played on Community. And in that show, like, a big part of the bit is like, yes, on paper, I'm very good looking and charismatic and charming. But when you talk to me, you start disliking me very quickly because I just give off asshole vibes. Because I am kind of deep down a hateful asshole. And he plays that so naturally that you're like, oh no, this is not a bit. This is who you are as a person.
Once I think watching that most recent Chevy Chase documentary, which was fine, it wasn't great, but someone said, like if you look at his movies, he only ever plays himself. Like he's always doing comedy, but none of his characters have an arc. They're always a guy who's better than everyone else and is so over it that he doesn't have to care. And the movie is always trying to prove him right, that he doesn't need to be more invested in other people or their problems, because the coolest, best thing you can be is detached and sarcastic. I don't hear anything about Joel McHale being a real piece of shit like Chevy Chase is, at least, but yeah. Oh yeah, just wait.
You never know.
Say that about anybody, any celebrity at all is like their stuff is coming. Just wait. Well, enough of that. We should talk about things we enjoy. We have a Patreon. You should go to it. Patreon.com/TBBTT, acronym for The Big Bang Theory.
Also, Nick, do you mind if I apologize. You can cut this part out if you don't like it. But also, Nick has a new Substack, which you can also go and read.
I do.
And you include clips from The Big Bang Theory on the Substack, so I assume you don't mind them cross-pollinating.
Yeah, that was out of laziness. I created the Substack, and it's like, put your podcast link here, and I'm like, well, suckers are going to have to see that too, aren't they? But yeah, I do have that, and I forget that I'm someone that people sometimes want to talk or listen to. So I forget that the actual URL or whatever, but it's at Hide Thoughts, and it's
slightly different vibe from this.
It's me trying to write about things that aren't necessarily not funny, but not the kind of things that I've been eager to discuss, like during stand-up. For instance, I have a piece in there about the horrible, tragic death of my mother, which is kind of silly, but I haven't turned into a type 5. So, yeah, you can check that out too. And I guess there's also options to pay for that if you're so inclined. Anything else to promote?
No. I will say, it's very good, very well written, and it doesn't have me in it, which I suspect for many consumers of this podcast could only be value added. So,
Kyle, I'm going to change that and prove whether it's correct or not. I'm going to start writing things specifically about you and seeing who still reads them. that's just like in the episode. Truths have to be brought to the surface, and then we all crawl away and say, at least Jaleel White's still cool. Let's move on to things we actually enjoy. I have one ready.
I do too. Go ahead.
Okay. So mine is almost kind of like a plea, because I listen to a lot of podcasts, and the comedy ones in particular are always very generous about their guests and their projects. And what I mean by that is I think there's an understanding that when you make a movie or a comedy show, there's a real solid chance it's going to be mid or even bad. And so they're always promoting each other. They're not making fun of each other, but there's always kind of like it's really great. Netflix gave you some money, and we want that to keep happening. So we're going to tell. And so there's a show advertised a few times on Comedy Bang Bang, because they have, I'm forgetting his name off the top of my head. Maybe it'll get back to me by the end. But one of the main actors from this show is also a stand-up comedian, also appears on there, and is very, very charming and funny. And he's on the show called Deli. Is it Asif Ali, maybe? But he's on a show called Deli Boys. And I was like, you know what? That guy alone is funny enough that I'm going to watch his show and see whether this is one of those polite recommendations. And no, it turns out it's great. But the reason I'm saying this is also a plea is the second season has got fewer episodes than the first. And so I worry it's already winding down. But that said, I am recommending on Hulu the television series Deli Boys, which, to be clear, is spelled D-E-L-I, which has to be clarified because these are, Southeast Asian, Indian, Pakistani people are featured as your primary cast. I think it's the thing is like it's made and at least created by someone who I assume is Pakistani, because all the main characters are Pakistani. But the premise, to give away as little as possible, that I think is revealed in the first episode is two brothers, Raj and the less handsome one, are they are the dual sons of CEO of a big corporate empire who owns a whole bunch of convenience stores and other ventures. And one of them's the smart one, one of them's the cool one, and their lives are fine until their dad meets an untimely end. And they are suddenly put into the hot seat of, basically, are they going to be co-CEOs of this giant empire that their dad ran? And as unready as they are for that, it is also revealed, well, sure, we ran a bunch of convenience stores. Those were mostly fronts for our cocaine operation. And
I started to say, I remember seeing trailers for this, and I was like, I seem to recall there was like a crime element to it.
They were raised in innocence of what was actually a giant drug trafficking empire, and so they are brought into this world very suddenly and have to reckon with it.
I love that. I will watch that.
It's great. It's so I don't want to promote the violence just for its own sake, even though I love gratuitous violence. I just don't want to say like, yeah, there's blood, and that's why you should see it. But for a comedy show, it's pretty great about. It's got funny violence, and it's got like kind of like action choreographed stuff, not like big action movie, but it's engaging, and the material itself is very funny. Everyone is charming and charismatic. I can't remember her name, but the woman who plays Lucky Auntie is the coolest woman on earth. I'm in love with her, and just. I'd watch anything with her in it. And yeah, I should let it go there. But it's 2 seasons on Hulu, and who knows how these things get made or approved or whatever. I would like more of it, and so if more people watch it, I hope that is helpful. But yeah, Deli Boys on Hulu. Very, very funny show. Hopefully not to be too short-lived. Yeah. Kyle, your turn.
I also have a TV show I'm going to recommend. I don't remember why I decided. I think I saw an interview clip with one of the main actors, and I was like, I'll check that out because I'm bored. And I just got sucked in. Like, I've watched. There's only 2 seasons, and I've watched basically every episode over like the last 3 days. And there might be another season coming eventually. Well, who knows? But the second season only just dropped. And so that show is on Netflix. It's called The Four Seasons.
Oh, is that Carrie Kenny Silver? Is she in that? Or maybe
is Carrie from Reno 911?
Yes.
Yes, and she is amazing in it. Not only is she in it, she displays like a dramatic. I mean, I knew she was funny because I saw Reno, but she displays, in addition to being incredibly funny, she displays a dramatic range that is just breathtaking, which is sort of true of the whole thing. So the premise of The Four Seasons, apparently it's based on a movie I never saw from the 80s, written and directed and starring Alan Alda.
And it's not based on the hotel chain or that one auto shop where Trump did a press conference.
No, but it does feel kind of like, it has a very sort of like stage play premise, which is there's a group of older married friends who all like try to hang out at least like once every few months together. Because they're all old enough to be not like super, none of them, well, one of them has a hedge fund, so he's presumably pretty rich, but they're not all like ridiculously like 1%, but they are all obviously like way upper middle class. And so, and they're, those of them that have kids, their kids are all off in college. So they have nothing better to do but find excuses to hang out with each other. And so each in 2 episodes of the show takes place over a season, or not like an entire season, but basically is one hangout trip occurring in like 1/4 of a year.
Okay.
And so we meet them, we meet them in summer, and then we jump 2 episodes and we see how they're doing in fall, and then 2 more episodes winter, so on and so forth. So, and over the course of the show, it's about, basically friendships and relationships. So it is, first off, it is starring, again, an incredible cast of very funny, talented people, like even who are frankly better than they've been. Like Steve Carell is in this, and I'm always kind of iffy on Steve Carell, but he's better in this than I've ever seen him in anything before.
So the reason I asked if Carrie Kenny was in this is she was promoting it on the same podcast I learned about Deli Boys from, and she's great. I've loved her like since I was a kid. Her and Scott Ackerman, the host, were talking about, I don't know if this is a real rule, but Steve Carell seems to have a thing in projects where he'll commit to something so long as he dies pretty early into the project, so he doesn't have to have the long-term commitment to like a multi-season series or anything like that.
Well, that's a huge spoiler for the TV show, but yes.
Oh, I didn't know. I said that in general. I didn't know he dies in this.
You just said he only commits to things in which he dies.
I didn't know that this was another one. That was the general rule.
So that's the inciting incident of the TV show is they all are hanging out together, and they're like 3 happily married couples, 2 happily married straight couples, and 1 happily married gay couples. But one of the husbands of one of the couples is Steve Carell, and while they're all hanging out together, he takes a couple of them into the woods, and he's like, actually, I'm deeply unhappy with my wife, and I am just looking for like an exit strategy, and I'm going to leave her at like the first opportunity. And you're like, well, that will kind of kill all our friendships, won't it? But then you just watch just like the rest of the year unfolds and how that plays out, and who picks sides and what. And at the end, it's really like, and the other couple is Will Forte and Tina Fey. And Tina Fey is, I think, actually the creator and writer of the show. So while it is a pretty, like, it's an incredibly light, like, it's in that weird, like, pseudo space where it's either an incredibly lighthearted drama or an incredibly, like, dark and insightful comedy. And I'll let you choose for yourself which one of those it is. But it feels mostly like most of the time it's like watching just like a really well-written play, because it's just, this ensemble piece with the small crew of incredibly talented actors, having set pieces where they talk about their relationships and things. But every now and then you remember Tina Fey is writing it because she will sprinkle these like just like in 30 Rocks, there are these jokes sprinkled through it that are like boomerangs, where she will throw a non sequitur out in one episode and you're like, well, that doesn't really make any sense. And then like 3 episodes later, like there's a payoff and you're like, that is that is an incredible like Arrested Development level like setup and punchline that I'm incredibly impressed with. So there are a lot of incredibly like funny, silly moments in it, but mostly it's just like I like it because it is a real look at like, you know, adults who, while otherwise stable and successful, and like mostly like they're not caricatures for the most part. Like Steve Carell's character like starts off the show in a place where he's like, I'm about to do something incredibly selfish, and as the show goes on you're like, oh yeah, he is kind of like a sort of like a selfish, you know, stereotype of like a middle-aged man in a midlife crisis, but also he knows it. Like, and he's trying his best. Like, he is doing, like, he is both incredibly selfish and you see an incredibly good friend and, like, even kind of a loving husband at the same time, in the way that, like, real people are often, like, you know, balanced back and forth between being, like, the shittiest version of themselves and, like, the best version of themselves. Like, and a single relationship with, like, your friends can encompass both sides of that.
Yeah, or, like, how shitty, you know, people who do shitty things, it's not because they're villainous, you know? It's because they, well, I mean, sometimes, but it sounds like, you know, real human character you're dealing with.
Yeah, and so, like, there's that, and, like, the two, like, Tina Fey and Will Forte, there's a big emphasis on their, like, relationship, because they're mostly happily married, but even in, like, the depths of their being happily married, they're like, but sometimes we're pretty fucking sick of each other. Like, to the point where, like, we don't even know if we're gonna make it. Like, we hope we're gonna make it, but because we really do care a lot about each other. But at any given moment, it does feel like maybe actually we're not. And that's part of what's scary about having been married for so long, is that you are just aware of the ways that, like, you know, people change with time, and you just hope it all holds together. And it's a really good show, and incredibly, and like watching it over the first season was very good, and the second season was even better, because it's sort of, you know, you sort of feel like the story could stop at the end of the first season, but by continuing, you know, into season 2, you just sort of like, you start to get a real sense of like who these characters are as people, and it's really interesting to watch like their, you know, lives play out, and you kind of root for them. You want them all to be happy, but you're like, sometimes, you know, you're like, oh, it seems like if he's going to be happy, the only way he can be happy is through like hurting this other person's feelings who I really like. And now I don't know how to reconcile those two things.
Yeah. Well, cool. And also, I'm kind of happy you talked about this anyway, because hearing, I can't, her name's, I don't know if it's Kiri Kenny or if it's still Kiri Kenny Silver, whatever. But when she was describing it, and you said, oh, it's like a stage play, for a lot of that, I was assuming it was a play, until you started to this great TV show, and I was like, oh, this is a thing I can just watch, and not something I'm going to have to go out and see. Thank goodness.
No, it's just on Netflix. The other two I'm giving them, but there's a guy named Coleman Domingo, who I have no idea what else he's been in, but he is fantastic. He plays like an older... I think he is an older gay man playing an older gay man with incredible, like, again, panache and vulnerability. And the guy who plays his partner, who I have no idea who he is, plays, you know, this Italian gay man who is, you know, who's very colorful, but also, again, like, the whole point, it's like when you first meet him, you're like, oh, this is like a stereotype of what an Italian man is. And then over the course of the show, you just spend enough time with him that you're like, oh no, that's kind of a defense mechanism he has. That's not like he like deliberately presents himself in like a non-threatening, like colorful pasta obsessed way, if only to cover like his deep insecurities. Jesus.
Took a lot of fun out of that for me. I just, you know, like to think that he can't do something. He just says impossible because he loves it, not because he hates himself. Weird note. Don't know how we're going to get out of this death spiral. Now I have to think about sad spaghetti. Guess I'm just going to go eat some sad spaghetti. I don't know. Kyle, do you want some sad spaghetti?
I'm trying to think of a... Mamma mia, my meatballs.
That didn't do it.
Damn.
But we're gonna think about meatballs. We're gonna reflect on meatballs. We're gonna think about how cool Jaleel White is and these two excellent television show recommendations we have made. And we'll look forward to seeing you next time to discuss what will probably be a worse episode than today. Thank you again, dear intrepid listeners.